Good evening and welcome to Tucker Carlson Tonight. On Friday, we told you an amazing story and an upsetting one about how the Obama administration made a series of terrifying changes to the way the FAA hires air traffic controllers. Ideologues in the Obama administration sought out the least impressive, least qualified applicants possible for one of this country's most vital jobs. Extra points were being given for being unemployed and failing in school. It was lunacy and a direct threat to public safety. It happened in secret, and remarkably, we've discovered it is still going on. You need to know about this. We have new exclusive information for you in just a minute. But first, a remarkable interview with former President Bill Clinton. For decades, as you watched, both Clintons had license to do essentially whatever they wanted to do, and they did. Fellow Democrats wouldn't criticize them, and neither would their obedient toadies in the media. The Clintons ran the Democratic Party, so they were too important to be held accountable. That has changed. Bill Clinton is now politically irrelevant, so there's no longer any reason to protect him. The media smell blood. Here, for example, is what happened when Bill Clinton visited the Today Show this morning to sell a new book. The conversation went directly to Monica Lewinsky. Watch.
But you didn't apologize to her.
I have not talked to her.
Do you feel like you owe her an apology?
No, I do. I do not. I have never talked to her, but I did say publicly on more than one occasion that I was sorry.
Ouch. He almost lost it, then sort of recovered. Then he went on to explain that even though Monica Lewinsky's life was completely destroyed by that experience, while he himself went on to become the single richest former president in history, he somehow is the real victim here. Watch this.
Do you think differently or feel more responsibility?
No, I felt terrible then. Nobody believes that I got out of that for free. I left the White House $16 million in debt. I've had nothing but women leaders in my office since I left. You are giving one side and omitting facts.
Mr. President, I'm not trying to present a side.
You think President Kennedy should have resigned? Do you believe President Johnson should have resigned? Someone should ask you these questions because of the way you formulate the questions.
Ouch. It went on like that. It was pathetic. That's pretty much it for Bill Clinton's life as a public figure. It is over. But what do the rest of us learn from watching all of this? Well, if you're a progressive leader, the lesson probably is not don't abuse women or even treat the people around you as you would like to be treated. Relatively few elected Democrats could live up to those standards. No, the question is this: don't lose power. As long as you are useful to the left, nothing you do will be held against you. You could literally, I don't know, drive off a bridge and kill a woman in a drunk driving accident and still remain the most admired Democratic senator. But grow old and irrelevant? Next thing you know, they'll be asking you nasty questions about your impeachment. Best-selling author Mark Steyn has never been impeached, and at this point it seems frankly unlikely that he will be, but he joins us anyway tonight. Mark, it's great to see you.
Hey, good to see you too, Tucker.
So all of a sudden, Bill Clinton, for many years, protected by the press, is up for grabs. What is this?
Well, I think there's a sense, as you said, that he is now disposable. But also, at a certain level, I do think there's a great shame at what the rationale for Clintonism in the 90s loosed in the following 20 years. The most interesting moment to me, most horrifying moment actually, and the most pathetic and self-serving moment in this Today Show interview comes when he pleads in mitigation, and it's interesting to look at his facial expression as he says this, that I had a sexual harassment policy as governor in the 1980s. In other words, that's the lesson the Democrats took from this, that as long as you struck the right attitudes in public, you could do what you... I mean, try this in any other aspect of your life. Hey, bud, you're double parked. Oh, it's okay, officer. I voted for the municipal parking lot expansion bill in 1973. That's basically the argument that Clinton is making here. Because he passed a sexual harassment bill in the 1980s, because he signed one as governor, he's allowed to actually assault women or enter into degrading relationships, supposedly consensual relationships that ruined, in the case of Monica Lewinsky a young woman's life. And actually, that's the rationale that Harvey Weinstein and Schneiderman, the New York Attorney General, and all these others, and John Conyers, the big Democrat big shot who was hosting trouserless meetings in his congressional office, they're all actually following that Clinton rationale, that because I have the right attitudes in public, I can do what I like in private.
Now, Harvey Weinstein tried. Remember, his first defense was, well, I love abortion, so back off, leave me alone.
Right.
I wonder, though, so Clinton, I confess I feel a little sorry for Bill Clinton, because in my view, this is really about the Democratic Party changing and rejecting its past. But I also wonder, as long as we're going to have a reckoning with Clinton over his behavior, when do we get the reckoning with all of his defenders in the media? The Washington Post reporter who said that she would get on her knees for him for keeping abortion legal, the feminist leaders who attacked Monica Lewinsky in effect and dismissed the rape allegations. When do they get their time under the spotlight for what they did?
Yeah, and I think there's also other ones, too. There were ones who didn't attack Monica. But I remember, for example, being attacked in Canada by a feminist columnist who said, you're wrong about Monica. Monica isn't a victim here. She's going to make millions of dollars. She has had a miserable 20 years. Nothing she's done. She was essentially ruined and tossed aside by Bill Clinton. And as we saw in this interview, he thinks that he is the victim here. And he's out, by the way. He's on a book tour, peddling this novel he supposedly, quotes, co-written, unquote, with James Patterson, and is supposedly, you know, his most ambitious work of fiction since his deposition in the Paula Jones case. This Clinton is getting $1 bazillion to put his name to this ludicrous novel, and Monica Lewinsky is someone who has never had a fulfilled career, never had a fulfilled family life, and that doesn't matter because the Clintons just discard people and move on to the next bit of human debris.
Yeah, and the media goes along with it, of course. Mark Stein, thank you for that. It was great to see you.
Thanks a lot, Tucker.
Joining us now, Richard Goodstein, who served as an advisor to President Clinton, and he joins us in the studio. So before I ask you about the sexual harassment stuff, I want to play a clip from the former president on CBS this morning, also on this book tour, comma, which I hope goes on forever, comma, in which he addresses the great press coverage that Barack Obama got. And here's how he explained that. Watch.
They did treat him differently than other Democrats and Republicans. They liked him. And they liked having the first African-American president, and he was a good president.
Oh, so Obama got special treatment because he was black. Do you agree with that?
Well, I think he's talking about two different things there. One, it's stuck in his craw that Obama got better treatment than his wife did when they two ran against each other in 2008. And I think it's the case, and it's not unique to the press, that Americans, not just Democrats, not just people who voted Barack Obama, felt actually a sense of satisfaction that the country had accomplished something by electing an African-American president.
That's all true.
So that's actually not something to deride, it's something to celebrate and not make fun of.
No, and I'm not making fun of it. But I'm noticing a trend here with the former president, Bill Clinton, who said this a number of times, that Barack Obama was an affirmative action case and benefiting from lower standards from white liberals.
Yeah, he never said that.
Well, he said that repeatedly.
No, he did
said
not.
that on the campaign trail in 2008.
Absolutely
Yes, he did
not. No,
yes, he did.
No, take South Carolina.
Saying there.
No, he didn't say anything about affirmative action.
Yes, he's
Look,
saying that
Donald Trump went to Fordham. Bill Clinton went to Yale Law School. Barack Obama went to Harvard Law School. You know, I love this notion of somehow...
I'm just trying to assess what the former president said. I'm not weighing in on this. I'm merely saying that here's this liberal icon saying, oh, he was a black guy. He got special treatment. I'm just wondering if you agree with that. That's all I'm asking.
No, I don't think he got special...
That's what Bill Clinton said. I'm just telling you.
No, what he said was that the press, and it was true for others, took a certain sense of pride in the United States having elected an African-American, given the history of slavery. And he said he's a good president, and as you saw in the interview, he also thought that Donald Trump's sort of escapades, if you want to match kind of accusers versus accuser, that won't be a fair fight.
I'm just saying, look, he derides President Obama, but that's totally cool because he's a liberal. But let me ask you this. What do we know about sexual harassment that we didn't know 20 years ago when we were defending Bill Clinton up and down? Now we're deriding him. But what's changed? What have we learned? Do we know sexual harassment's wrong now? We didn't know that in 1998?
Yeah. So I will speak as somebody who was on the air talking about Bill Clinton back in 1998.
Right.
And my position from day one is I assume that Monica Lewinsky wasn't kind of somebody who was unable to think straight and that what the story was true. And yet, under the Constitution, this wasn't treason, bribery, high crimes, and misdemeanor, which incidentally, the first word treason might apply to our current president.
And by the way, the Congress agreed with you.
Yes,
he was
as did the American public.
You're exactly right. He was not convicted.
Right.
But there's a much deeper question about what constitutes mistreatment of another human being.
Right.
And at the time, all of us knew, because we were hearing it from them, the White House was deriding her as a stalker. And in that case, yes, they were. They told me. Sidney Blumenthal called me and told me that.
Sidney Blumenthal was kind of off on his own.
He worked at the White House.
No, I understand, but I'm just saying.
So they were saying, they were dismissing her and the other accusers as trailer park trash. And that was cool, but now it's not. So what have we learned? That not all accusers are trailer park trash when they're accusing Democratic politicians? Like, what didn't we know then that we know now?
So I think what Sidney Blumenthal did was kind of despicable. I think most people, myself included, said what I said, which is under the Constitution, whatever he did, he shouldn't lose his job for it.
No, but that's not, we're not talking about impeachment,
well,
because I mean, I agree with that. I don't think that impeachment was the right remedy for that. So I'm not arguing in favor of impeachment. That debate's over.
Right.
What I'm arguing about are the current standards for sexual harassment. What constitutes behavior that's acceptable and what's unacceptable? And liberals have changed their view. Conservatives haven't. They've been pretty consistent on this. They may excuse it.
They defended Donald Trump.
Absolutely, they defended Trump.
Yeah.
But I would never defend the behavior. They defended the behavior. And they stood by Clinton as he attacked this intern. And now they're like, oh, I can't believe it. It's so wrong. What do they know now that they didn't know then?
The Trump standard is who stayed with him after Access Hollywood and after he talked about grabbing women by their private parts. That's the Trump loyalist. That's who's held on a pedestal in the Trump orbit, right?
Okay,
so they are defending
you're not answering
him.
My question, which is, did you not know that it was wrong to attack interns after you had sex with them and then denied it in the White House?
So, I think what Mark Stein just said was supposedly consensual. There's no dispute that it was consensual. Whether there was an imbalance of power and it was wrong for Bill Clinton to do, he actually apologized.
But was it? And why doesn't he call her and apologize? I wonder.
It's an interesting thing. You'd have to ask him. Have other reporters ask him. What do you
think?
He has said over and over.
He's an awful person. Let's be honest.
Page 810 of his book, and over he has said he apologizes. Donald Trump hasn't apologized to a single person. He calls them liars.
Okay, so you're against Trump. I get it.
No, but I'm just saying there's a big difference.
It's a sincere question. Like, why wouldn't he? Was asked 4 times by that NBC report.
Right.
4 times. And he lied about it at first. Oh, yeah, I've apologized. And then the reporter pressed and said, no, in person. He finally conceded, no, I haven't talked to her. Why doesn't he just call her?
I don't think there's any news there.
No, but why doesn't he?
Again, you'd have to ask him what his thinking is.
Does it shake your faith in him as a man?
Trust me, he will call Monica Lewinsky the day after Donald Trump calls all 17 of his accusers, okay? And what year do you think that's going to happen? Sorry.
That's his standard.
Yeah, how's that? We've kind of gotten a long way by 2018, haven't we?
It's actually unbelievable.
Yeah.
All right, good. As long as I don't have to take any more lectures from the left ever again, I'll be all set.
None for me, I promise.
Thank you, Richard.
Yeah.
We have new exclusive information on terrifying new air traffic control standards at the FAA, which they are defending. Those standards could put you and millions of Americans at risk. No joke. And we've got the details. Plus, one of the architects of San Francisco's sanctuary city law has decided, actually, it's insane. We're talking to her next.